morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is October 12th, 2023. And on the big news of the morning, inflation is about what we expected it to be. Ha 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 ha. They made one of those red candles that didn't even make the morning session red. So there is that. Looks like we're trying to climb back up and through. Data is what was expected. And if you're looking looking for a bull case, bear case within the data, there really isn't one. It's just wibble wobble. There's really nothing there, in my opinion, that should be of maximum concern. In other news, China injected more money into places. Japan was absolutely rip roaring on fire overnight. Even Europe, caught a bid and was pounding the upside pretty good on mediocre to poor data. So in a lot of ways, it looks like, this thing wants to gravitate up just looking at data and the price action surrounding it. On to more important news, the Astros are once again in the American League Championship Series. It shall be a fun series against the Texas Rangers. These two teams do not like one another. They do not like one another at all. They actually despise and hate one another on every level. So it should be a good series. What else do we have? We have the Denver Broncos set up for a good butt raping tonight against the Kansas City Chiefs. It should be a great time. If you're a Bronco fan especially, lube up. It's going to be great. What else we got?
It's gonna be great, he says.
Lube up. It's gonna be great. We know what's coming. Hard and fast.
The more prepared you are, the better.
Hard, fast, no timeouts. That's basically what we're looking at here. DAL reported this morning. Price action at first glance was pretty solid, and it continues to climb. That's another one of those tickers that is well off of its highs. While for the most part, all indications are is people still like to kind of sort of maybe travel a little bit. So, this could be one of those little bounces that we get on airlines and things that are in the toilet this season. And then again, we kind of see what happens after that. But as far as additional news and such as and whatnots, I posted a bunch of stuff within the room pre-market that was kind of entertaining, kind of fun, kind of meaningless in a lot of ways. The one thing that I saw that really just jumped out at me that was like, wow, that's crazy. Natural gas inventories on a 5-year rolling average. That was wild. That was wild. We are bulked up for the winter, apparently. And they're saying that we should expect about a 20% drop in natural gas costs from last year into this year. That seems deflationary. But hey, again, it's just me. So let's go back to the chart.
So you didn't have to cut all that firewood.
No, I do. I really do. Basically, it's the heating oil that was just, which is, I guess, different than natural gas. That is just mind-meltingly expensive. I don't understand what the fuck is in that stuff to make it so expensive. But heating oil is absurdly expensive. I don't get it. I don't know what it is.
Crazy.
Yeah. Really crazy. All right, buddy. So what you got in them charts? Where we were yesterday.
Indeed. Well, I'm showing this. This is a regular trading hours chart. I'm showing first. This is 15-minute ES, and this is kind of where we ended. You can see right up against this gap here, right? Mm-hmm. We had this like double top, pulled back a little bit, and then fire, and we ended up the day right up against it. So moving to extended hours, this was that level, pulled back, filled that fair value gap, fire, and then pushed up into that regular trading hours gap. Top of that gap being up here, but we pushed up into it. And then on that print this morning, pull back a little bit. So, let me go to a 60 minute real quick. So this candle right in here, I'm looking at on the 60 minute. If it wants to continue to pull back, and when we go back to a 15 minute and a 5 minute, we'll look at kind of what this swing low is and where it's at, or this wick that we put in. But if it wants to pull back a little bit further, maybe it comes down into this 60 minute candle. Hells, you mentioned the non-mathematical 50% level off that down leg, right? That is 43.99. We talked about that yesterday. So we are above that. Maybe it wants to do a retest. I don't know. That's about 16 points down from here. If I go to, let's go to a 5 minute. If we go to a 5 minute, you can see that the candle down, bounce into that fair value gap. And now it's trying to figure out what it wants to do with itself. So I'm going to put a line there at the bottom of this pullback, 44.0775. And I will look for a reaction if we take that out. And on the flip side, you got the pre-market overnight high right up here, 44.30 half. So I want to see a move above this 44.30 half or below 44.0775, and then look for a reaction once it crosses either one of those levels. So I'm also going to have this 5 minute fair value gap here on my chart, just so I know kind of where the top of it is. But to really get cooking, we'd have to get above that 44.30 half, and then we might see it fill in the remainder of that regular trading hours gap. And you can see on the 60 minute, this, candle down, this selling that occurred in here. Like we always talk about, if it moves down quickly, it can move back up quickly once it gets up in there, because it's not messy. There's not a lot of back and forth. There's not a lot of traffic in there. So if it decides it wants to get going through there, it can happen pretty quickly. And then where the sell started was up there at 45.0725. Now, there's a few of these lows that are kind of stacking up. Maybe this afternoon, maybe tomorrow, we get a scare. Maybe, possibly, perhaps. I don't know. But I would see those personally as buying opportunities. We talked about that. This gap down that we had, was that Monday? And I think there was a few of us saying, I think we're supposed to buy the dip, right? This is the opportunity. That was the scare. They really couldn't get anything done. But after we got our 4-hour market structure shift, we are pushing up, pushing higher. That is the direction until it's not, right? It doesn't mean that there won't be, if you look at the down moves, it's not like there wasn't bounces that probably had some shorts nervous going, crap, maybe this is the bottom. This must be the bottom, right? And then it sells down again. So we'll get some of the same stuff on the way up. At some point, we're going to take out one of these, something that looks like this, right? That kind of gets people that are long, get some kind of shaking a little bit, going, oh, it's not supposed to do that. This is supposed to be support. It's not supposed to take that out. So that's just kind of, I guess, the bigger picture view is that when we do get that move that scares some people out, I will see that as buying opportunity for the next few weeks. I think we have more upside in store. But again, it doesn't go straight up as we see. Yesterday was tricky, right? You either had to grip, by this fair value gap and hold on to it to get that move, or you got chopped up. And I think yesterday was set up for a seek and destroy type day, and sure enough, that's kind of what they did with it. Took out the lows, took out the highs, and we spent a couple hours going ultimately nowhere. I don't know what they're going to do with it today. I don't really have a solid lean as to how the day is set up, besides pull back into this fair value gap. And now we'll see if this low holds. That's why I kind of have my plan is just I'm going to play it cool until one of these levels gets taken out, and then look for the reaction and play it from there. I'm not going to try to play it in the middle here. There's only 10, 15 points, inside of here, 20. So I'm probably not going to do a whole lot with it until one of these gets broken. Ideally, we'll come down a little bit lower and then recover, get that market structure shift, and then we can target up here and higher into that gap. And I think that's about all I got.
All right, very nice. Sonny, what you got for us?
Morning, everyone. Pretty light on the news, so it's gonna be quick. So AVGO's buy of VMware China was the last holdout. It looks like they're gonna approve it. The talks between the Actors Guild and the studios has stalled or has been suspended for now. Um, so that's gonna be wild. It looks like from where they are there. There's a lot of there's a big distance between what's being asked and what's being offered by the
And
studios.
we're getting into seasonality on that thing to
Yep.
where Hollywood traditionally shuts down after Thanksgiving anyways.
Right.
So it's like from a seasonal standpoint, there's very little, there's nothing to really motivate. They're not going to jump into production.
Yep.
Um, there's not enough time at this point
Yeah,
to.
and I think that's going to put more pressure also because since the writers deal is done with, they can have the scripts ready and stuff, and whenever they feel like the actors need to come in, put pressure on them.
To be fair, a lot of those
Yeah.
scripts have been done
Yeah.
for about a year. It's like the scripts have been done.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how all
Yeah.
that plays out. But
Yep.
it's like there was the expectation at the beginning when it came to this strike is that it would last um, into the holidays, just because it's like regardless of its when the industry is full working after Thanksgiving, everybody is gone. LA becomes a ghost town.
Right. Yep.
Um,
Yeah, I have few of my neighbors work in that studios or the sets and things like that, and I was talking to them yesterday. Just like, yeah, we're just gonna wait it out. Even though till the actors come back, there's nothing for them to do. They're not going to be
mm-mm,
building sets or anything else. So it's like bigger than just the actors at this point, right?
mhm,
It's all the craftsmen, painters, set creators,
mhm.
designers, everybody. So it's a pretty
Yep,
big
yep.
impact. The other one was UAW has shut down the Ford's largest plant, so impacting like the F-150 production, the truck productions. They're still negotiating. They're still far from again what's being offered, what's the demand. The interesting piece of news that came out yesterday was after hours with Microsoft was ordered by IRS to pay about $29 billion in back taxes from 2004 to 2013. And Microsoft already put out their rebuttal saying it's all miscalculated by the IRS and we'll appeal and this thing's going to take years. It's not like we're just going to fork over $30 billion. And so, yeah, this thing is going to go, for now, is just, I would say, garbage news. But so, yeah, just take a look at
Am
that.
I the only one that's going to say, like, if I'm going to trust somebody's math, I'm going to trust Microsoft's team over the IRS?
Exactly.
Like, if somebody's got it right,
Yeah.
I lean that they probably did it
I
right.
think the
Yeah.
only real difference in all this, the way I look at it, Bender, it's like if you and I got slapped with a $29 billion bill from the IRS, I don't know that we're going to be able to say, we'll see you in court. All of our assets are going to be seized and we're going to be sitting there trying to fight them with pocket change.
Yeah.
That's the
Well, there
only,
is that. Yeah.
it's like, it's just stuff like this becomes really, really fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Really ridiculous.
So yeah, so they're going to fight it. They already put the statement out. It was interesting to read what the Microsoft was saying as a rebuttal. Um, so Biden's meeting with the CEOs of Target, IBM, and other companies to talk about their perspective on the economy, uh, and his administration's efforts for the domestic investment, and if they're doing the right things, what else do they need to change? Maybe put some pressure on these guys to cut down their prices like he tried doing about oil, and nothing happened. Nobody listens. Um, Eli, Eli Lilly, so they passed their phase 3 trial of the Crohn's disease therapy. This one made a nice movie yesterday, and they seem to be getting a lot of good news lately. So definitely in a sector to watch. XBI and other GSK, Merck. Merck also got a couple of approvals the other day. Going to upgrades: CLX, FSLR, SKT, TGT, XOM, MDB, and SHOP initiated as buys. MDB price target 450. Downgrades: Beyond, Murder Meat, CVNA, RMD, and Snow was initiated as actually neutral by Bank of America. Events: we have TGTX. That one's a nice mover for events. Fast, they all had the ER, I think, this morning. Clover Health, it's a shit stock. Uh, they are also, and oh, Victoria's Secrets, they had the ER, now they have the investor day today. Let me just put up the dark pools real quick. Dark pools, some decent. Hims has a 35% at 637. BMBL, they keep coming into this, another 16% at 1475. Lattice Semiconductor, LSCC, another 12%. That was a large one. And yeah, that's about it. Oh, uranium got another 14%. I'm sorry, at 43.91. And I'll post the SPX numbers once I figure it out in my room.
Thank you, Sonny.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Stonkington, paging Stonkington. How are you, sir?
Doing quite well, thank you. Hello. Man, what a day. Got a nod to Hells there because he had me zooming out, where's the liquidity? And then we put out what was that? 120 point banger. I know Sooners in there catching
Man,
that.
I didn't see you take that up there. I was late to the party and I thought that I was the guy, but it's like I didn't realize that you had longed yesterday.
Oh yeah, I tagged you because you gave me the idea to look at it. We'll just do it on the simple chart. House was like, where is their liquidity? So I switched over to the hourly and said, well, it was right here. And then they grabbed it. And so I was thinking, where's the next liquidity, which was in that chart, which was up there. And that one was, kind of like Bender said, we were looking for the buy the dip, and it worked out pretty good there. So nod to Hell's, good reminder to just zoom out once in a while and see where the algo might be looking to go. If we start out and just kind of take a look at where we are in terms of Smashburger land, let's see. So this was the possible short setup going into yesterday with the break of that would be what day? Tuesday's low. So that's alert is still set. Looks like we're going to open right around that, what would have been the stop out area if that did break. So just kind of keeping a zoomed out view on where recent highs and lows are is usually a good idea. So we got that going on the SPY. Let's switch over to the NASDAQ. All right, so we got the busy chart here. So I've been waiting on this potentially massive bull flag, and we're up near the top. We have below the weekly fair value gap is this orange box. We've got fibs on it split into quarters, which we talked about earlier this week, how the reactions to a bigger gap in the different sections of it. Right here, this red horizontal line, potential bearish order block based on these candles over here where we sold off aggressively. So we are below there, so I'm going to be watching for the reaction to that 1450. Gold boxes are daily fair value gaps, so if we can get going to the upside, you're looking for the reaction up here, that 15531. If we start to sell off inside that weekly gap, we did have one daily fair value gap on this rip up, which is going to be starting down there, 15254. That's kind of what we've got on the NASDAQ. Not sure that it's time that we break this flag. We'll see, once price action gets going off that CPI, we'll see what they want to do with it. But kind of really waiting on this big flag to pop. So we'll see what we get. If we jump over to the Russell. Let's see. So we've got our daily line that we've been looking at for quite a while here is going to be this green horizontal level. And you can see we kind of came down, tagged it, pushed back up. We've got new week opening gap below. We've kind of got this triple top. So if we were to break below this, we've got some downside targets. We've got a fair value gap here that's going to be this candle's low down to this candle's high. So if we start pushing to the downside, we'll be looking to see what we do with this 1758. And then we've got this gap above that runs up until this candle's low, 1804.9. And then if we can cross that next unbalanced area, will be this orange box. That's a weekly gap on the Russell. For individual tickers, the theme was going to be daily inside bars. So we've got AMD. AMD had a dark pool coming in at 108.31. I've mentioned before, I'm not crazy about just using the dark pool as the trigger because I want to see it bounce around that area a bit. So above, I'm going to be looking for that 109.20, and below I'll be looking at this 107.45. It is in this kind of rising setup, not necessarily a short. We could easily come down. If we do kind of break down through this, we could bounce off here. So I'm going to kind of see what we get on those levels, but it's in this rising channel. And similarly, we have Tesla. So Tesla, we looked at this one yesterday after the morning show. If we take this range, this sell-off, looks like bears started to step in right around the 786 fib. So now I'm going to be watching above. I've got this 265.50. We had some reactions over here, We're sitting on this next 618 fib. But if we lose that, I'm going to be watching this dark pool down there at 260.11. And I think that's it for today.
All right, very nice. We have about 14 minutes until open. I think it's going to be what it is. It's like yesterday was kind of lesson-ish in a lot of ways. If you go back and you look at the action and you look at when the minutes came out and you looked at how stalled it was in trying to make a move, and then it makes this just massive move in the last 7 minutes of the day, and just kept on pounding after hours. It's like there's a lesson within all of this that you can be totally right about your targets. It's all about timing. It's all about where and how we're going to get there. Yesterday was a weird freaking day. Very, very weird. What I can say is that flow from yesterday and today is not necessarily bearish. I can say that there's still some pretty decent upside targets that are available up there for this week and into next week. So until that kind of changes, it's like we have a lot of SPX out there expiring today to the upside. From what I saw closing coming into today, let's just play it where it lies. It's like, we can totally, and I think Bender's been right since we built that 4-hour market structure shift. As far as, gravitating higher, it's still intact. It's still in play. Just be very, very careful with whatever you're trying to do. And, I'll use flow as a guide as far as telling me what I think I need to know, and I'll relay it accordingly. Guys, you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
No, nothing from it, dude.
No,
Thank you.
I'll just I think what you said is great, and we've talked about it several times. We say it all the time. It's like the question is always from where, right? You might have a good idea as to the target, the direction, right? Ultimately, I think we're still going higher. It doesn't mean it happens today, and the question is always from where. And you can lose a lot of freaking money. You can lose a lot of money
In between here and
sitting there going, I know where we're going, so I'll just buy it here. Because ultimately it's going to be higher, right? But if you don't have the account or the cushion or the balance to ride that out, some people do. Some people can do that. They can go, yeah, I don't care if it drops 40 handles because I know it's going 80 higher, right? Most people cannot do that. So, there are days like yesterday, I missed the majority of the move yesterday because I just didn't have a good sense of from where and when. Timing is very important. And sometimes you just doesn't line up where it's like, okay, I feel good about this. I can lay in it for a minute. So just, it's hard sometimes to know the direction and get shook out of positions over and over because your entry was just not what it should have been. Right. And then that's when ultimately it goes to where you thought it was going to go. And you're like, damn it, I knew it. Fuck. And you end up chasing because you didn't have that entry and you weren't patient. So sometimes it's just until I see the setup I want and the setup I like and things start aligning and coming together, it's like, well, I got to wait.
Yep. Now, and again, he's specifically referring to futures more so than equities. If you see opportunity when it comes to equities to, you're going to put on a quarter position and sitting there and wallow in it for 6 months, dope. You don't have to have that same mentality. But if you're trying to play, snatch and grab with the market on a minute by minute basis, hourly basis, whatever it may be, it's a different ball game altogether. So, all right, man, let's have a good day. We now have 10 minutes until open. We'll see you soon.
See you.